What's up, everyone? So, in this one, I want to talk about kind of the importance as well as the process of creating a monthly budget. Man, it's so important to kind of take care of your money, of course, but also know where it's going and have a plan for where you want it to go. Because otherwise, you're just kind of aimlessly wandering through the world of personal finance, right? Like, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. You got to have a game plan going into anything, and that applies to personal finance as well. And the best way to do that is to just put together a monthly budget. It's really not that difficult once you kind of get the bigger picture of it. I'm going to go through the whole thing right now with you guys just to kind of give you the framework of it. You can tweak it for your personal situation. You will need to tweak it for your personal situation. Obviously, no one's personal finances are exactly the same. But again, this is going to be like the blueprint for you to actually do it. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it here. So there's going to be three parts of a budget. All right. So you're going to have your income, you're going to have your expenses, and then you're going to have your available money after your income and expenses. So first, let's start with income. Income is any money that you have coming in on a monthly basis. So, for example, your normal job that you work, your 9 to 5 or whatever your normal job is that pays you your paycheck and you pay your bills with. That's going to be number one. Number two, any side hustles that you might do. So if you work a weekend job doing like service, like waiting tables or bartending or whatever the case may be, any sort of side hustles or secondary income, you're going to include that in your income as well. Now, if you have some money set aside, maybe you have your money put in a high yield savings account and it's paying you some interest every month, this does count as income as well. So, whatever you're bringing in via that high yield savings account or any other account that's providing you with interest on a monthly basis, you're going to include that as well. Also, if you have any investments that are paying you dividends, oftentimes dividends are paid on a quarterly basis, which means every 3 months. But there are certain stocks as well as other investments that will pay you on a monthly basis, pay dividends on a monthly basis, so you can include those as well. And then any other forms of income, if you have, I don't know, royalties from something, or maybe you have income coming from the military if you were in the military, any other sort of income that you're receiving, you're going to include it as well. So once you write down everything that you're bringing in for the month, add it all up, and that's going to be your total income from the month. And again, this could change on a monthly basis, especially if you're doing like side gigs, if you're working DoorDash or delivering food, or you work on tips or anything like that. It is going to fluctuate a little bit, so you want to get a roundabout number. But again, it's okay if it's not the same every single month. So now that we have income out of the way, we have that total number written down. Let's talk about expenses. So expenses is going to be any time money is going out. So the main expenses that we're going to be focused on here is going to be things like rent, utilities, internet, your phone bill, anything food or toiletries, any household items, things that you have to pay every single month. Also, car insurance, renters or homeowners insurance. And also, this one's very important. Do not forget this. It's going to be your minimum monthly payments on your debt. So if you have student loans, if you have a car payment, if you have credit cards, whatever the minimum monthly payment is, you're going to write that down in this expenses category. Some other ones include, other transportation costs. Maybe you have to pay for parking or for transit. Maybe you take the train or whatever your situation is. Any expenses that you have to pay on a monthly basis, you're going to include it in this section. And once you've written down all those expenses, you're going to add that total up, and that's going to be your total expenses for the month. Now, if that seems a little overwhelming and you don't really know where to get started, the best way to do it is go through your credit card statements, go through your bank account statements, and just look through this past month and see what came out. Just go down it line by line and see what actually came out of your account. Now, use your discretion. Figure out what is absolutely necessary and what you kind of just spent money on that you may not have needed to. So, for example, don't include like going out and to the bars on the weekends or travel or entertainment or anything like that, unless the travel is necessary for work. This is just the bare minimum expenses that you need to function and operate on a monthly basis. So again, once you have all those listed out and the amount that each one costs, add those up, and then that's going to be your total expenses for the month. Now go back to that income number, and what we're going to do is we're going to subtract our expenses from that number. So let's just say, for example, just to make things easy, let's say your total income was $4,000 for the month and your total expenses added up to $3,000 a month. That brings us to our final section of a budget, which is your available money or your leftover money after your expenses. So based on that example, if we brought in $4,000 last month and we only spent $3,000, we have $1,000 left over to do with as we please. So then the question becomes, what do we do with that money? Well, there's a few options. You can just go out and spend that money on whatever you want, whether that's entertainment or, material goods or whatever it is you want to spend the money on. And that's what most people do. But there are some other options. Number one, you can save that money, right? Everyone's always told us, save your money, save your money. Well, it's true. You should save your money. So this is where that savings would come into play. So you can save the money. You can also use that extra $1,000 to pay down your debt. So as we mentioned earlier, you're going to be making those minimum monthly payments on all of your debts. Again, student loans, car payment, credit cards, if you have personal loans, any sort of debt, any money you owe to someone, you need to be making those minimum monthly payments every single month. But if you want to pay off those loans and that debt faster, you can use that available money every month to help pay down those loans and pay off the principal earlier. That way you're not paying as much money in interest over the term of the loan. Also, you can invest that money, right? You can invest in yourself, you can invest in a business, you can invest in stocks, you can invest in bonds or cryptocurrency. Really, you can invest in whatever you want with that money. It's your money. My recommendation and what I do, I always save, invest. I'm luckily out of debt now. I worked hard to kind of pay off all my debt after I got out of college, so I don't have to worry about paying off debt anymore. But when I did have debt, all of my extra money was going towards debt. I wanted to get rid of that. That way I wasn't paying interest every month. But again, this available money, it's up to you how you want to spend it. Again, my recommendation would be to pay down debt, save it, or invest it. But to each their own. It's up to you how you want to do it. You can also do a combination of it, whether it's saving 50% and spending 50% on what you want, or saving 25% and spending 75% of it. As a general rule, and this is pretty widely taught in the world of personal finance, based on your income for the month, right? That 4,000 in our example, you want to spend about 50% of that on your needs. So you really only want your expenses to add up to about 50% of that, or $2,000. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, especially in this day and age. Everything is pretty expensive nowadays, but ideally you want to be spending about 50% of your money on your needs. You want to be saving 20% of your money, and you want to be spending about 30% of your money on fun, discretionary spending. Now, that's just a framework. If you want to get out of debt faster, or you really want to catapult yourself forward in the world of personal finance and really set yourself up to do better in life, you should cut back that discretionary spending. Definitely pay off your debt immediately. That should be your number one priority, especially if it's high interest debt. If it's a low interest debt, it's debatable depending on the interest rate if you want to pay that off early. But at the end of the day, you want to pretty much get yourself out of debt, and then start to save and invest your money, and then kind of take things from there. So that's really how you create a monthly budget. And again, I did the same exact thing. I calculate how much money I have coming in every month from my my jobs, side hustles, interest, dividends. Then I just subtract all my expenses for the month, and then what I have left over is kind of up to me how I want to spend it. I prioritize saving and investing, and I do allocate some money for discretionary spending, going out, eating out, spending time with friends, buying things that I want. Ultimately, it's up to you how you want to set up your budget. This is just how I do it, and this is an easy way for you to kind of get started doing it. I hope you find this helpful, and I'm always making more videos like this about money, budgeting, investing, personal finance, life experiences. So if you like this kind of content, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.